Hello, I'm Jeroen from the mobile Kite Hostel, and yeah, we're having a hostel on wheels, and we like to be on the best kite spots as close as possible to the kite spot. We have a normal kitchen like everybody else. It's just a gas stove here, and we have as well warm water. And at the moment it's warm enough in Terrace, so we don't need a wood stove, but we have a wood stove for in case it gets too cold. And it's quite good isolated. As you feel now outside, it's much hotter than inside. So yes, it's quite good isolated, and because it was before a cooling truck, it's already quite good isolated. And we used a lot of recycled material to make this happen, so everything you see has a story to tell. For instance, my old kite bar that was one of my first kite bars and one of my first boards I put on the ceiling. And then I have yeah, everything just reclaimed materials, and all the old pallets I was cutting them to pieces to make it more look authentic and nice. So yeah, it's been 7 months of building, but during the travel we always come up to things that you want to improve. So we're still building after 1.5 years to be on the road and to try to make a living out of this. Because of COVID, it's quite a difficult time, but yeah, we're managing, and the advantage is that we're on wheels, so we can a little bit escape as well the restrictions and a little bit of the better life, and just so as well the kite spots. The main reason was that I came to Tarifa actually, and I rented an apartment, and I saw many people living in the van, parking up next to the water, and then I thought actually they had a way better life because they could just, you know, be quicker home, and they had the biggest backyard and the most beautiful backyard I've ever seen. So I thought, wow, if you can wake up next to that kind of things, that is just amazing. And it really is. The moment I realized it, actually never let me go, and always wanted to wake up with a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sundowner. If you can have the ocean next to yourself, it's definitely a good way of living, I think. Over there we have my personal room. It's at the moment a super big mess. So you can have a quick look through there, but don't look too long, I would say. Don't put your screen at pause. And then over here we have the bathroom with a enormous shower and a normal toilet, as we are using normal water because we have 600 liters of water on board. We're capable of usually standing 2 weeks off grid if we are having customers over. So yeah, it's quite okay with the chemical toilets are not that well because of they don't really have a good system to separate it. So we're trying to use as much ecological products and biological products as possible to make this all happen. So that's why we chose for water. But we have too much customers coming over, so maybe if there's somebody there that maybe thinks, oh, we have really good compost toilet, who knows, can hit me up as well. So that's maybe an idea, but I looked it up already, and I think it's not possible with 9 people coming over. The story was that I was living already on wheels for 3 years in a smaller camper van, and that I wanted to go bigger, and I wanted to share this experience with many people. And yeah, that's why I got the idea to build a big truck like this, and as well for the concept of the downwinders, to make it happen on the best way you can, because I first did it in sailing boats, and with the sailing boats you're not really capable of going out in every condition, and in this truck you can go out in 30 knots or 40 knots. Doesn't really matter. So as people like to shred along the coast or see the whole coastline and do some wave riding, and yeah, then we take their stuff. So That's the idea about making this concept and about this hostel. So now we're here in the living room. We have made, of course, every part useful. So we have some fold-up tables that you can clap up, like over there. We have as well this one you can clap down. And then we have a bench which we can shift over, and as well for the storage. And then as well we have in this room, we have another box to edit if we have too much customers in the living area. We have a really big sitting space, but it's usually only for the customers that sleep here. So they will get their own box, and then they have a nice sleeping area. Yeah, of course, we use here old boating windows from the old boats, and every piece that we cut out, we reused and painted it. And if you close the hatches from outside, it doesn't really see that you're a truck or a camper. So you can be really stealth, and you can be really blending in with all the other truckers. So yeah, that is quite nice. I would say that you are able to stand wherever you want to stand. As long as there's a trucker stop, you can actually stand everywhere. And in Holland, I was amazed about the spots I could find. I recycled all the materials, and I was allowed to stand on my stepfather's property where I could use his tools and everything. And yeah, it costed me around 25 to 30,000 euros to build it. Or to build it, to get everything together like it's standing now here. So the truck, I was really lucky with it, with that, from Prestige Motors. It's had a good deal for me. And yeah, with the lorry itself, so the trailer, I bought that empty for 3,500 euros. And then I just started building, and yeah, then I was during the build looking every time for the front part, and eventually after 6 months of searching, I found something. But it was a good alternative when you were building to also search a lot of things on marketplace or second-hand websites, and that's a lot of things how I got, as well as some sort of boat windows that I found on the second-hand shop. And yeah, many things I just found as well in the dumpsters or on other places where people didn't want to have it anymore. So yeah, that's how we get at everything. So it was a lot of work, but it didn't cost that much. Alright, so here we have the terrace, and again I tried using all the space as much as possible. I have as well a freezer up there. So quite a big freezer, and all the tools I need to make this all happen. And as well the hydrofoil is quite a nice sport to get more going on that. And then yeah, we have here a little bit of the base where we hang out the most of the times for a little bit of teaching, and as well to check the wind if the wind is right. And yeah, it's just, I think, the most beautiful spot at the hostel to stay here and have a beer. And maybe there's an idea as well to put up a little DJ booth in the future, and to have little parties as we move from location to location, depending the wind. The next day, of course, we going for kite surfing, not for the parties. But the idea is to put everywhere a good vibe, and as well a lot of good things that we try to put there, as we do as well cleanup parties on the beach every week. And then we have over here, we have the truck, where you also have a bunk bed inside. So it's quite cozy in there, and even with my 2 meter length I can still stand and still lay in there. So it's like a little camper, or actually a big camper, because you have quite a lot of storage. And since their bunk bed also has a fridge, and 220 inside. I rent it out to the customers as well. I've been driving already for 10,000 miles with it around Europe, and I even tried avoiding some paved roads in France, which is not a good idea with a big truck. So yeah, I did came up in some really difficult situations where the car was, or the truck was sometimes on some hills of like maybe 20 or 14% steepness, and it was quite hectical and intense. But because I have a lot of horsepower, I have 510 horsepower in the truck, I'm able to go anywhere actually. It's as long as there's asphalt, and even if there's no asphalt, we intend to go a lot of places. But yeah, we don't get stuck with this because we don't have a lot of people that can pull this out, so you have to be extra careful. The idea is to make this as close as possible, because I heard in Morocco they intend to climb in your truck, and every gap or every hole that you have, they will try to get in. So I want to close everything that has a cable or that has something, and as gypsy proof as possible. Yeah, working on this to make it a little bit close. And then even I'm thinking in some desperate situations, maybe I could sleep down here, make a bed that folds in there, and that you can like shift your bed out and in. So it's a little bit like a big box where you can sleep in. But I'm probably just gonna use it for storage. My diesel. So if you want to know how much liter this is 950 liters, and I was capable of getting fuel in Luxembourg and drive all the way to Tarifa with just getting one-time fuel in Luxembourg. So you can imagine like almost 1,000 liters it costs to drive from Holland to Tarifa with a big truck like this. How do I earn money? In this case, renting out the rooms, and as well teaching people how to kite, doing different clinics with hydrofoiling and big air or whatever in the water sports. I'm actually doing it. I'm doing windsurfing as well, and we're now doing some wing foiling. I'm not that good yet in wing foiling, but getting there a little bit. And yeah, with kiting I can help everybody with the best spots, and as well with the downwinder concept. That's why we're here for, and why we're trying to put up this project actually, to make it happen and to inspire much more people also for kite surfing, and also for maybe some infrastructure and some other inspiring ideas that sometimes come along with travel. We don't have our own rescue boat yet, but I'm saving up for a rescue boat to get that on the hatch, and that we theoretically be able to save people within 2 or 3 minutes if we're close to the spot, and give them as well some other activities. If the wind is shit, we can maybe go hydrofoiling behind the boat, and other activities we can arrange with that. So that's bit of the idea, to extend it for a 0.5 meter, the truck. And we also have some ideas about tents on the roof. Oh, it's full! It's full! So this is biological water. Bad moment to film, really bad moment. We're having a little bit of overstream. I didn't do this because of my back. I had 2 days back pain, and I couldn't move the bucket. So that is why it's now leaking over a little bit. But this is just normal biological water. We're not using any soap. We had some transport issues. And over there we have the other bucket is for the dishes and stuff. And the dishes we usually always throw away at Terrace, or as well we do the grey water or the black water. We throw that away at Terrace at the gas stations, or in normal toilets. Since we're not using chemical toilet, we can as well dump it in normal toilets. And yeah, it's quite possible to reuse the shower water and to use that for the flushing. Yeah, you get really more value of water if you start to live in a camper or in a truck. And I think many times in people in dry areas, they should live in a truck or live in a car for just a few days to get to know how to deal with water, because you could save so much water in so many things that you think, oh, it's normal to put on the tap and just start doing the dishes. But it's also good to just do the dishes, do a little bit of tap water, close it again and stuff like that. Indeed, I was 14 years ago, I wouldn't say I didn't really give a shit when my paper, for instance, were blowing out my hand and I was not running after it or something. But yeah, that changed as you are playing with the elements and you're so busy with nature and so much outdoor. And before that I was much more indoors and much more doing taking not so much care about what the nature did, or if there would be, for instance, sewage systems coming out in the ocean or stuff like that. I would never mind. But in this case, yeah, I'm swimming in there and I'm kiting in there, and sometimes I do get a lot of water in my mouth. So yeah, I do love it when it's clean, and so you definitely get more. You get more knowledge about your environment. You are trying to as well maybe help this environment to prevent that these things are happening. And yeah, we're trying to little bit by little bit make changes in this far as we can go. And yeah, by this way, living in a camper as well, we let people a little bit see that it's possible to be self-sustainable and still don't make too much waste, and still do something good as well. We are having a Euro 5 engine, so I wouldn't say that's the best, because it's still diesel what you're putting out in the environment. But yeah, it's I don't know if you really know the status about it, but one volcano is the same as 50 years of cars. So it's, I think, not all bullshit, but if we have 3 volcanoes erupting at the same time, we have a bigger problem than 50 years of cars. So in that kind of way, it's just nature maybe. But plastic, I never agree on that, so that's why we try to get that out of the system and work with the people to make the beaches clean and to make everything nice.